Okay. Ani, bonsoir, good evening, and welcome to our May 1st regular council meeting. And as we normally do, the first meeting of the month is chaired by the Deputy Mayor. So I'll turn it over to you, Renee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So first, I'd like to begin the meeting by acknowledging that we are in the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe peoples in the Robinson-Huron Treaty area and wish to recognize the neighboring community of Dokis First Nation. While we meet today, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands which we call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. From coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people that call this land home. And with that, I have a resolution to adopt the agenda. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Dave and Councillor Roger. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Any delegations? None. We'll continue on to reports. We will start with Andrea's report. So reports and items for consideration. We'll start with 6.6.1, which is down here. Report, no, 6.6.1. I always get confused with that. Andrea, your quarterly report.
Thank you for the accommodation. I'll be reporting in St. Charles after this. I just wanted to be available for questions on the quarterly report because for the first time, we're including numbers for short-term rentals and travel trailers. As far as building goes, it's a bit of a slower start this year, but more comparable to pre-COVID. And we do have quite a few applications that are being looked at by the department. Other than that, nothing too much to report on the building side, but I did want to point out that we've started the short-term rental program and also the travel trailer licensing program. We've learned a lot. And we're at the point where we feel confident that we know how to advise people when they're applying and how to best move forward with their properties. So I, again, just wanted to make myself available in case council had any questions about how those programs are going.
Does anybody have any questions for Andrea? Councillor Will?
Through you, Madam Chair. I'm just curious where we are with how many applicants have actually completed the process and how many are in lieu or in the process of being completed.
I don't have the up-to-date numbers at the moment, but we have issued 6 short-term rental licenses. At the time of this report, there were 15 applications in. I know that we've received some more since then. And now that we've got a solid base of where we know what we're doing as far as applications come in, we're starting to contact owners that haven't necessarily gotten in contact with us yet.
Thank you.
Councillor Bob?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair, a question, and it's just a clarification. And I think I know the answer, hosted and unhosted.
Through you. We had a conversation when we were finally passing the bylaw that we would take into consideration properties that would be hosted and unhosted, possibly as a different type of license going forward in the future. Hosted being that the property owner is on site, unhosted not there. So we are tracking that number. So I thought I'd include it in the report just to give council an idea.
So it's going well, the short-term rental, the people that are applying, how's the feedback on that? How are they, just curiosity.
I think so far it's gone well. We've had good experiences as long as people are reaching out to us and letting us know that they're operating. We've seen all kinds of different situations. And we've been able to navigate all situations from, dealing with any unsafe issues on properties dealing with making sure that all buildings on the properties were built legally and have been assessed and that are reported on the property. And also to do with septic systems on properties as well. And we haven't really come into any situations where we've not had a way forward, if that's a good answer.
It is. So I think we are good. I think you're good to go. Thank you very much. Good luck with your presentation in St. Charles. So we'll continue on with 6.3 Public Works and Environmental Services. So Kevin will present his quarterly report.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. So tonight we're just gonna switch over to the stats right away. I just want to point out that if you look at the numbers for this quarter alone, for our recycling program at the curbside, so it's like 33.6 tons in the first quarter, which is amazing. And at the landfill, 11.18, so we're steadily rising, so which is good because people are using the program. Key highlights for this quarter: closure of the Manettville transfer site happened in January. We had an inspection by the MOE or MECP correction of the transfer sites. Draft environmental assessment circulated to all the government agencies and posted all over like our website, and social media. Environmental Advisory Committee was held on March 27th, 2024. And if anybody has any questions on that report.
Does anybody, Councillor Whip?
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. I was I hope this is the correct time to ask this. I was reading through the report and I know there was a mention of the special curbside pickup. It would be now the time to speak to that, or?
No.
The next report. Okay, my apologies. I'll defer.
Okay, we'll continue on to 6.3.2, special garbage pickup service. And
Right.
you're
Thank
on.
you. Through you, Madam Chair. This report, as we were just talking about, is for our, it's just an information report for the special garbage pickup, the curbside for household waste. A bit of a background: since the establishment of the municipal transfer sites, a curbside collection program has been available to assist the elderly residents and those with disabilities who cannot access the sites. This service is not advertised due to staffing limitations, as an overwhelming demand could strain municipal resources. Furthermore, the vehicles used for this service are not licensed by the ministry for this purpose, presenting potential legal and operational complications. In the absence of a formal policy, a form was developed by staff to create criteria and internal process. Staff is finding difficulty in determining eligibility for the program. This lack of structured parameters means decisions regarding who receives this service are made without clear direction, potentially leading to inconsistencies or inadequacies in its administration and equities, sorry. Bit of the financial implications. The municipality currently charges $100 yearly rate for the residents of the service. And it services 6 households in Noelville currently on a weekly schedule, which is subject to change at any time. Offering this service represents an approximate annual cost of $12,488 to the municipality, with a revenue of $600 annually. It's important to note that the service could potentially be extended to residents in other areas within the municipality, such as Manettville or Alvin, which has occurred in the past. Doing so will significantly alter the cost structure for the service. Conclusions and recommendations. Following discussions with the MOECP, the Environmental Services Department recommends discontinuing the current special curbside waste collection program in January of 2025. This will give residents using the program sufficient time to arrange alternative solutions. This timeframe also provides an opportunity for the local private sector to step in and offer these services, which may offer a more tailored solution and reduce municipal burden. So, any questions?
Counselor Will?
Through you, Madam Chair, my apologies again. I just, after reading this, I was wondering if we did any investigation as a way to, if we could go forward, how to supply the service. I think the province is interested in keeping people, older people and people with disabilities in their homes longer. And this service probably would go a long way in helping do that. And I was just curious if any mechanisms were explored in doing this.
Through you, Madam Chair. So this was obviously brought up after our waste review. So curbside collection was on the table for the whole municipality, right? And council decided we're going to keep the transfer sites. That's why this discussion is coming up now. So this is where we land with this. Right now, we're not licensed for carrying waste with our vehicles right now. And the cost is just, we are not absorbing the cost that we are using for the program.
Mayor Pajot?
So if we're going to discontinue this service in January 2025, will you be sending a letter to, there's 6 right now, and providing them some solution or access to other private companies that would, and then they can contact them and make their own arrangements with the private sector?
Through you, Madam Chair. So yeah, we will be reaching out if council does decide to notify residents. That way they have sufficient time to arrange however they would like to do it. But there are local companies we have looked into in the area that do provide this service. There's a couple contractors locally that do offer this service. So.
Yep. Dean, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, Kevin, I'm just kind of curious. I might have missed something here, but just curbside pickup is not sufficient for these people? Is that what you're suggesting?
Through you, Madam Chair. Just to clarify, they are receiving curbside pickup household on a weekly basis every Thursday. So like our public works employees are picking it up at their door right now. This is just a report on that we don't have the proper licensing to be doing this for our vehicles or the staffing resources to really handle it.
Yeah, I know that. We had quite a discussion at the environmental committee meeting about this, and I know that, but I would think that I guess I'm trying to kind of come to grips with why they would need to have any other service help them. Is it a matter of taking it right from the house or something? Is that why they need that? Or can they not just put their garbage out on the curb like everybody else?
They do that. Sorry, Kevin, go ahead.
Through you, Madam Chair. So yeah, they bring it to the curb. It's just, this is about us picking it up at their curb for them, for these special residents that are in this program. That's all.
As opposed to our contractor picking them up.
You're referring to recycling, I believe. This is for household waste.
Oh, okay. All right. I got you. I understand. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it is an issue.
Mayor Pajot?
I think what the important thing is here is to make sure that we offer a solution so that we can offer them the same service if they wish to pay for it, then whatever arrangements they make with their with the contractor. But I just don't want to say we cut it out and there's no solution. So there has to be a solution being offered to them, whether they choose to take that offer or to take that possible solution, then that'll be up to them. Correct.
Through you, Madam Chair. Yeah, correct. That's why we did look into local contractors that handle the service.
And so if I may, I know $100 a year is not much, but it averages out to about $18.50 to get their garbage picked up. So that's fairly a decent amount for, but I do agree that, you know, costing the municipality 12,000 at the end of the year, you know, that's a lot of money out of our pocket to pay for 6 people. I hope that other contractors in the area will be able to help these people. I think the service is because, you know, they were older people who have difficulty, and that's why they were using this service, and I hope we can continue and find them a solution, like you said, Giselle.
Yeah.
So, all right, do we have Counselor Bob?
If I may chime in, no, I agree completely. And I agree of helping them find a solution. Even neighbors. I know one of them was my tenant before. And if he hasn't got, I'll go pick up his garbage. But I would want from here to the end of the year that we don't accept anyone else, that like these 6 are grandfathered for the rest of the year. And that we don't take any more applications. And that's my comment. Thank you.
I don't think we've been, it hasn't been open to other residents in quite a while, Bob. So, yeah.
It's always open.
Well, I've heard of a few people that haven't been able to. Well, anyways, so we'll continue on with report. There's no resolution for that, or is there? Yeah.
So we were basing the discussion, so a resolution will be brought forward to the next meeting. So that so we get direction so we can give notice.
Okay. Sounds good. I think we're continuing on with your report of 6.5.1.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. So this is for the bylaw services report, first quarter of 2024. We're going to switch right over to the information. In the second quarter of 2024, our bylaw department will roll out a new waste audit program at the transfer sites. This initiative aims to tackle misuse and improve recycling practices, reducing recyclables ending up in our landfill site. Through auditing, we'll identify areas for improvement and promote awareness of proper waste disposal. Just pointing out, so far 2024, we're at 23 complaints, which is getting pretty high. And the key highlights for this quarter, waste transfer sites monitoring continues as always. And we started the STR public education for operators. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions on this report? No, seeing none. I think you're done, Kevin. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
To the next meeting. So we'll continue on now to with 6.2.1. We have the quarterly report from the finance department and Marc Fleury.
No.
Oh, the flooding first. The report on flooding. First, Mark. I know.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the absence of our Community Emergency Management Coordinator, who is actually at home resting right now to recuperate, just wanted to give you a brief update of the flood watch warning that we issued last week on Friday. We activated the control group on April 23rd, which is through our emergency management planning. And from that, with the projected precipitation that was coming in for the weekend, we decided to be proactive and set up sandbagging opportunities for our residents that may have been affected. Our volunteer firemen, along with the public works crews, worked in conjunction with each other on Saturday, beginning at 8:30 a.m. They were able to make 500 sandbags, deliver them, and put them in place at the affected residences. From that, we requested assistance from the Provincial Emergency Management Operations, who have since dispatched Team Rubicon Canada, who arrived here Monday. They're a group of 10 individuals, 2 groups. to assist the affected residences. Since then, we've installed another 500 sandbags at the identified areas of low-lying waters that principal residences have been affected. So we're going in there to help principal residences, not secondary sheds or any other garages or anything like that, just to make sure. It's been working great. They have more work to do tomorrow. They've replenished our sandbags. Another 200 is available outside the fence of Public Works for anybody who may need them, and then replenish our stockpiles at the same time. In terms of water levels, it seems like things are peaking right now. The Lake Nipissing seems to be under control and has pretty well reached the peak of the levels. And we are still observing high water levels within Woolsey Bay, which has peaked as well and is actually slightly on the decline. Dry Pine Bay is also sort of leveling off. We did see a slight increase from yesterday's rains of about 2 centimeters in both areas, but with the rain being the lesser amount of rain being called for this week, we are being optimistic in that we can get things under control and then slowly maneuver Lake Nipissing back down to the proper levels and reducing the pressure on the French River at the same time. Just to give you an understanding where we're at compared to 2019, I did a little bit of research. Dam outflows at the peak we're in the neighborhood of 554 cubic meters per second. We're currently sitting at 480 cubic meters per second. We were pushing about 618 cubic meters per second at Dry Pine Bay during the flood of 2019. We're currently sitting in the area of about 530. Got my numbers wrong, sorry. 634 at Dry Pine Bay and 546 currently, and 530 currently at Woolsey Bay, and we were at the peak of 618. So not quite at those levels of 2019. We did get a scare, but again, thanks to our volunteer firefighters, we wanted to be more proactive in our reactions. Better be safe than sorry. Unless Dean, who also participates on the water management group, if you had anything else to add, you're welcome to do so.
I think that it's kind of interesting that when it was getting critical on Lake Nipissing with the sewage disposal plant in North Bay, they were getting ready or are ready to maybe have been pumping sewage out of there because the lake level was so high they couldn't discharge it without that. But I think it's relieved now a little bit, but having observed or seeing what was happening on the lake and thinking that if we didn't take some more water down here, the lake could get in a situation where all of a sudden they had to dump a lot, and then we'd be in real problems. And so it was our suggestion that to the people at the dams that they open up a little bit, and they've all together opened up about 60 cubic meters of water a second, and that's relieved the lake. The lake's actually peaked and has showing a tiny little decline. And although it's been hard on some folks down here, it is nothing as bad as it was in 2019. So, and if we continue along the line we're doing, we ought to soon be able to see that they'll shut down a little at the dam and give us some relief down here. I know as soon as they feel the lake is where they can manage it without continuing damage, they'll make it easier for us. But I think it was a thing we had to do to suggest that. But it's kind of interesting too that in our conference calls and that all around the lake, we got thanks here to French River for being willing to take some water to relieve them on the lake. It was kind of fascinating to hear them. I mean, right around the lake, people were thanking us for giving that consideration. So if I know it doesn't make the people who are hurting here feel any better, but that is the case. And I think we did the right thing. And I think that they appreciated at the dam that we were saying, we'll take some added pain here to relieve the situation on the lake because it was dangerous on the lake. It was at the point where they were going to have real problems. And when they, knowing from what they said last time that they had real problems, they could give us more water, and that's what they would have done too. And it would have been in larger quantity. I'll leave it at that.
Through you, Madam Chair, just one more thing, just a little bit more information on Team Rubicon Canada. They're a non-government agency. They're a non-for-profit organization that come to the assistance of communities in need who need some special assistance. So we did house them at the arena upstairs. They're self-sufficient and they're here at non-for-profit, so as volunteers, just to make sure that that's known.
And I think that's great to have such a volunteers offer to do that. A lot of hard work. Pretty lucky. Yes, Mayor Pajot.
I just want to go on the record to say how much, as council, we appreciate our volunteer firefighters and our staff that came out on the weekend. They were quite visible, and the feedback that we're getting from the resident is much of appreciation. And then with Team Rubicon, that's there's 60% veteran base, so they're retired veterans that started this organization to help folks similar as us out of situations. And they're, again, our thanks goes to them, and extremely grateful for our team that was super well organized. That was it was so, we were so proactive. I think that's how I like to refer to it, that we were able to put at ease a lot of fears in the members of our community. So much appreciated.
I think that's just great, but I think we should make a formal thanks to them too.
Absolutely.
There will be a recommendation coming to the council once this is all over.
Thank you. So we'll continue on now to 6.1.2, the quarterly report. So Mel?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Other than other stats that were reported, I'd just like to highlight one item in the report. So on an annual basis, as owners of 2 cemeteries, the municipality is required to submit annual reports on activities and transfers to the care maintenance fund, and also to renew our annual licenses. So the annual licenses, the fee is based on the amount of interments, so burials, either entombments in the columbarium or regular burials or ash burials. This current annual, I've found a bigger increase in the fees than previous years. They've almost doubled since 2021. So I'm just reporting to council that in the next quarter, I'll be revising the service fees such as burials, just to make sure, because those fees, the fees that we charge for those services are supposed to be, they should cover the costs of providing those services. So staff time, materials, equipment rentals. So the fees that we charge should cover all those expenses. It shouldn't be, those costs shouldn't be borne by the taxpayers. So we will be doing an analysis just to ensure that we are covering those costs. And if there is anything to be recommended, then a report will be brought to council within the year. That's the only thing that's.
Does anybody have any questions for Mel? No, seeing none.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mel. Okay, McFlurry, now we're on to you with finances.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we had the budget approved, the operating capital budgets approved by council on March 20th, which is right almost at the end of Q1. We're also prepared the year-end file for the financial statements for the auditors, and the financial audit is being finalized as we speak. We're gonna get a draft statement tomorrow, and then we'll be in discussions with the auditors and planning on getting the audited statements or the draft to council in mid-May, next meeting. Also, the interim tax bills have been they were scheduled to be printed, and they were mailed out by March 1st. So we did not get the same problems as last year. If you recall, we had some issues with the accounting system, and we had to delay the mailing of the interim tax bills. We did not have this problem this year. And also, following adoption of the 2024 budget, we received confirmation of additional funding. So for the food bank, we had a one-time funding from the Manitoulin Sudbury DSAB for $20,000, and also additional funding from United Way for $50,000 for the food bank. And in your appendix, there's the variance reports for the operating budget for the first quarter. It's in line with budget in last year's numbers, so there's really nothing standing out. So we're in line. So as year to date. So if you have any questions, feel free.
Anybody have any questions for Mark? Mark, can I just maybe one question with having a milder winter? Did we save anything that way on the roads, or?
You mean
You know,
in
I know
last year?
last winter was pretty hard, right?
Well, actually, we were a little slightly over budget in the winter maintenance because of the winter. Because it's from January to December. We still had some snow last year, so we were slightly ahead. And also there was a new contract with the contractor, so there's increased rates there. But overall, we're slightly over budget.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, thank you, Mark. We'll continue on. We have 6.3.3, which is the quarterly report for operations for the fleet department. Michelle is not here. So if anybody has any questions, we can always just send them in to Michelle or Martin. Are you guys okay with that? It's pretty straightforward report. There was nothing really new. Okay, we'll continue on to 6.3.4. We have a resolution to award the contract of the rehabilitation of the Public Works garage roof. And I believe Jason is going to speak to this.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just going to go through a little bit of background on this. The Public Works Department has had water damage and infiltration into the building in 2003. We released a tender to rehabilitate the Public Works roof, and it was awarded to Barn Builders Construction for the amount of $127,961 plus HST. During the startup of the project in the fall of 2023, the contractors shared they had conducted through their architects and multiple architects and shared the same consensus that the way the scope of the work was that it needed to change to a different way, which would be better. I also talked to our architect about it. Barnes Building proposed an alternative scope of work, which was through the architect's recommendations. Due to the complete change of the scope of the work, we agreed to terminate the contract and re-tender it. There was 4 bids on the tender and the new scope of work. It is recommended that council awards the contract rehabilitation to Public Works to Damison Roofing Limited for the amount of $55,691 plus HST. I'll open it up to any questions.
Anybody have any questions? So I believe we need a mover and a seconder. So Councillor Bob and Councillor Will.
It is moved and seconded. Be it resolved that council awards the contract for the rehabilitation of the Public Works roof to Damisona Roofing Limited for the amount of $55,691 plus applicable taxes.
All those in favor? Good. 6.4, Recreation and Community Services, 6.4.1, the quarterly report. Go ahead, Jason.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm gonna just touch on a couple stats on the second page of your report. And I'd like to say some of that doesn't exactly say, like, we have some free hall rentals and ice rentals, so children's dance was a great success in that as well as senior public skating. And then I'll go back just to a couple key highlights. The hockey seasons from the Rapids to minor hockey came to an end in this quarter with great success. Open up to any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Jason? No, seeing none. We are good. Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome.
All right, so now we'll continue on to correspondence. 7.1 Moose Hide Campaign. We have a resolution to proclaim May 16, 2024 to be Moose Hide Campaign Day in our community. And I believe Mayor Pajot is going to speak on behalf of this.
Thank you. The Moose Hide campaign, I don't know if you recall last year, I believe it was Richard Meyer that came in to speak to us very briefly about wearing this moose hide on your presence when you go out. And the campaign is Canadian Indigenous led by men and young boys to stop violence against women and girls. It was started back in BC, where they call the Highway of Tears, when there was when all of these issues were coming out, that Indigenous women were more susceptible to violence. And so what they would like all of the communities is to proclaim May 16th as Moose Hide Campaign Day. That way they can start their campaign. They'll be listing all the municipalities on their website that support the Moose Hide campaign. If you haven't seen their website, you should go on it. Very educational, and certainly I think that this is one of the campaigns that we can easily support. Thank you.
So I believe we have a resolution. So I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Dave and Councillor Roger.
It is moved and seconded, whereas the Moose Hide campaign is an Indigenous-led grassroots movements of men, boys, and all Canadians standing up to end violence against women, children, and all those along the gender continuum. And whereas the Moose Hide campaign was founded along the Highway of Tears in British Columbia in response to the injustices and violence faced by many women and children in Canada, particularly those who are Indigenous. And whereas the intimate partner violence is in epidemic proportions across Canada, with more than 4 in 10 women having experienced it in their lifetime. And this reality is worse for Indigenous women, who are twice as likely to experience violence from their current and former partners. And whereas the Moose Hide campaign has distributed over 5 million Moose Hide pins that each spark 5 conversations about issues of violence against women, children, and all those along the gender continuum. And whereas wearing the Moose Hide pin demonstrates a commitment to honor, respect, and protect the women and children in your life and gender-based violence, and take meaningful actions towards reconciliation with Indigenous peoples. And whereas participation in the Moose Hide campaign is a concrete action for all citizens to address the legacies of colonization, residential schools, and the reality of more than 1,200 missing or murdered women in Canada. And whereas engagement with the Moose Hide campaign aligns with the United Nations Declaration on the Right of Indigenous Peoples, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's calls for action, and the calls for justice of the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls. Therefore, be it resolved that the municipality of French River hereby proclaims and promotes May 16th, 2024 as Moose Hide Campaign Day.
All those in favor? Thank you. We'll continue on to 7.2. We have a resolution to approve the Sudbury East Planning Board 2024 municipal apportionment. So I need a mover and a seconder, Counselor Will and Counselor Bob.
It is moved and seconded, be it resolved that council approves the 2024 Sudbury East Planning Board municipal apportionment in the amount of $60,398.
All those in favor? We have the consent agenda. We have a resolution to adopt the items in the consent agenda. I need a mover and a seconder. Counselor Dean and Counselor Dave.
Moved and seconded, be it resolved that council approves the items of the consent agenda under section 8.1.
All those in favor? We are good. There are no items separated from the agenda. We have no notices of motion, announcements and inquiries. I guess we will start with Roger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A lot of credit has to be given to my neighbor on my left side, Councillor Bob Prevost, which I call now Mr. Earth Day, for the work that he and his team did for the last Earth Day. I spent a lot of time there that day, and there was nothing negative about the whole day. Everybody that came loved it. They loved it. And the interest that is shown by the people that went, the proof is in the numbers, and the amount of people that were still waiting. Basically, they could have, if we would have had more room, we would have had more booths. And like I said, everybody that I ran into that mentioned it was very positive. So again, thank you, Bob, for your service, and it was an excellent day. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Bob.
Thank you, Councillor Naderi, for the kind words. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about Earth Day, and it's mostly thank yous. Thanks to our committee members, the effort that was put in before and during that day, and I have to name Joan Mercer. A big thank you to Joan. Thank you to staff that worked for this. We had Kevin, Michelle, Carly there all day. Jason was a big part of the setup and putting up with me that morning. Thanks to council for all the time, the mayor, Roger, for visiting, talking to people. We had Councillor Dean show up for what he thought would be a long shift, but I pulled the plug. But I don't think you had a chance to go around the room, and because you're like a magnet, you're a people magnet. The people just go to you and like to chit chat with you, and you're a fountain of knowledge, and your presence was very, very welcome, Dean. Thank you to we were close from the numbers, we were close to 500 people, which is amazing. And thank you to all our vendors, our local vendors, some vendors from out of town, namely Sudbury, Science North. Everything was to me a great success. So thank you to all those people. One more thank you I have is to, and it was mentioned, but I have to mention it again, to the emergency management team, the leaders, all the volunteers, our firemen, our out-of-town volunteers, Team Rubicon, and staff, also staff. A lot of the staff has been displaced and going over and beyond. And we don't see everything. We don't hear about everything. And thank you to all these people. And with that, Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Bob. Counselor Will?
Thank you. I just want to mention, we all know water levels are high. And just a little bit of consideration if you are on watercrafts and you are out on the water using our waterways, please do not produce or cause a wake. It would be nice to stay off the waterways, period, but if you find yourself needing to use them, please keep in mind, most of our stuff is underwater right now, and that water causes a lot of damage to our property, to the waterfront, to everything underwater. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pejot?
Okay, so I'd like council, if you haven't done it already, to mark June 7th, Friday, June 7th in your calendars. We'll be honoring the seniors in our municipality with the luncheon over at the Albin Community Center. And you are on serving duty like we did last year, where we serve lunch to our yes, it's lunch. So I suggest you get there by around 11:30-ish. And yeah, you get
This is
the.
in Albin this time.
It's in Albin, yeah. We tried to move it between Albin and Noelville. And we'll be honoring 3 outstanding seniors this year. So you'll be on dish duty afterwards. I did send the invitation to our firefighters, our volunteer firefighters, and to the police and to the paramedics. So hopefully, not unlike last year where they got a call in the middle of dish duty and all disappeared. So please mark that in your calendar. Again, I echo Roger's thanks to Bob and your team for a fantastic Earth Day. I had a great time. Saw lots of people, talked to lots of people. Loved the giveaways, by the way. Those giveaways were amazing. So people just love them. Bob and I and Mark attended the OGRA conference last week. Was it last week? Okay. Every day seems to be a work day. So I was a bit disappointed, to be quite honest, because there were only 2 ministers there, and the 2 ministers that were there were not the ones I wanted to see. But it was okay. There was a couple of good speakers. The first one was on the environment, and she was amazing, actually. But aside from that, it was a bit disappointing. Also on last Friday, Bob, Roger, myself, and Dave, we attended the Snowmobile Association annual general meeting. It's been an extremely rough year for them, naturally, because of the lack of snow. So they're hurting, and just as the tourist operators are hurting because they didn't get a chance to profit from our avid snowmobilers. So they're trying to get their act together. They would like some assistance from the municipality. We told them to put it in writing, come and let us know what you need, and we'll see if we can accommodate them. But certainly we're very much in support of them. And I think that's it I have for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pejot. Counselor Dean?
I'd just like to reiterate Bob's comments about Earth Day. I was, to be perfectly truthful, kind of surprised when I got there and saw how many people were there and how many people had booths and set up and everything. And it was really kind of amazing. I thought to see the interest shown in such a thing and so quick and I mean, there's not a lot of advanced talk or notice about Earth Day, but all of a sudden, all these people are there. And I'd like to congratulate Bob too, and and all the staff for what they accomplished out there. I was frankly kind of amazed. I'll leave it at that, but I enjoyed my visit out there, and I liked talking to the people as they were coming in too. And I made the rounds, Bob, but it took me a little longer than it should have, because as you say, you go around and everybody wants to talk, and I'm not one that's too bashful, so I can talk too, so. But anyway, congratulations on it. It went far better than I would have expected, so I think you did a great job. I'll leave it at that. I've said enough about water levels.
Thank you. Counselor Dave?
Madam Chair, I think everything's been pretty much said. I'd like to give the same thank you to the fire department and all the volunteers and everybody from Earth Day. I couldn't make it, but I heard it was a big success. So thank you, Bob, everybody that was involved. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, my turn, I guess. Bob, I'm sorry I missed your event. I had other plans. It's my mother-in-law. But I followed it on Facebook all day and saw numerous pictures. People really enjoyed themselves. My daughter did say that they had a great time. The fire department was there. And she said there was a lot of people in and out all day. It was very well organized. So thank you to you and your volunteers for putting on a great day for a great cause. Much appreciated. To all the firemen that sandbagged, thank you for saving our backs this time around. I did ask if they needed help, and they said they had everything under control. So a huge thank you to them for doing the sandbags, and to the volunteers that are now here helping us out. It means a lot. Other than that, May 11th, we have the fish fry at the Rod and Gun Club. So they're having their annual Rod and Gun Club there. And a huge thank you to Hood Well Drilling, who got our well drilled this week at Joe Chartrand Park. I'm pretty proud of that. And to the municipal workers that have been cleaning out and getting things ready for the outdoor washrooms. So it's nice to see that project come to life. So it's exciting. And Flower Shop opened yesterday. The French River Gardens opened yesterday. So hopefully if we can get some nice weather, we can start planting and cleaning. And I saw some trucks out there sweeping a few days ago, so that was nice to see. And that's about it. Do any of the staff members have anything to say? No? No, they don't want to speak? Jason, no? Okay, so we have, we'll continue on. We have nothing for closed session. I need a resolution to adopt the confirmation bylaw. Counselor Dave and Counselor Dean. And we need a resolution to adjourn. Counselor Bob and Counselor Will.
No reluctance.
Have a good night, everybody. Thanks, Mark, for joining us.